The key wouldn't turn. Ethan stood frozen on his porch, jiggling the handle of his front door, his pulse quickening. He thought it was a glitch. At first, his custom smart lock had never failed before. He whipped out his phone, opened the control app, and stared at a blank screen. No signal, no response. He swiped to his backup key card and tapped it against the lock. Nothing. Then he noticed it. The sleek, high-tech unit he'd designed himself was gone, replaced by a flimsy, rusted deadbolt that looked like it was scavenged from a junkyard. Taped to his door was a crisp sheet of paper with the HOA's letterhead, bold letters screaming, "Your home access has been revoked due to multiple violations." Violations? Ethan's jaw tightened. He'd never heard of any violations. Not a single warning, not even a whisper. He stood there, locked out his own house, his blood boiling as he felt the sting of humiliation. Across the street, curtains twitched, and a neighbor's eyes met his before darting away. This wasn't just a lock change, it was a calculated attack. Someone had invaded his home, his sanctuary, while he was at work, and he had a pretty good idea who had the nerve to pull it off. Ethan was no ordinary homeowner. As a systems analyst for a top-tier security firm, he built ironclad networks and entry systems for clients with secrets worth millions, including government contracts. If anyone knew how to secure a fortresser, crack o' night was him. And yet, here he was, outmaneuvered on his own turf. The mastermind? Linda Carver, the HOA's self-appointed dictator. She'd had it out for Ethan since he moved in, sneering at his discreet solar panels and the faint glow of his battery cabinet. Too many wires, she'd sniffed, as if his tech was an affront to her cookie-cutter VY shown of the neighborhood. Her crusade to control every blade of grass had grown bolder lately, but Ethan never imagined she'd stoop this low. He'd gotten a few snippy letters about his unsightly tech box, all of which he'd answer politely, citing permits and codes. Clearly, that wasn't enough for Linda. Ethan took a deep breath, forcing his anger down. He didn't pound on the door or call the cops in a frenzy. Systems were his world, and this was just another puzzle to unravel. He drove to a nearby cafe, flipped open his laptop, and got to work. His home surveillance system, which he'd built with layers of redundancy, backed up to an encrypted server. Within minutes, he pulled up crystal-clear footage. Linda, standing on his porch in broad daylight, barking orders at a guy in a beat-up work van as he yanked out Ethan's smart lock. Her voice crackled through a hidden mic tucked in a planter. "Disable the wiring first," she snapped. "Make it look legal enough so he can't fight it." Ethan let out a low, bitter chuckle. They had no idea who they were messing with. He could have marched to the police right then, but Linda would hide behind HOA jargon and stall with red tape. No, Ethan wanted more than a quick fiche, wanted her exposed, her empire of petty tyranny dismantled. He called a few buddies in law and cybersecurity, laying out the situation while cataloging timestamps and metadata. He hired a locksmith to prep for a legal reentry once his EVY Denke was airtight. That night, he crashed at his friend Nate's place, sipping beer and plotting like nothing was wrong, while Linda spread her lies back in the neighborhood. She claimed Ethan's tech VY OLAT, VY Sewell standards, and hinted he was running illegal surveillance. She even bragged about an emergency resolution to lock him out, scaring neighbors into silence with her invented authority. They didn't know she'd faked the vote, skipped the paperwork, and made it all up. Linda thought she was untouchable. She was dead wrong. The next morning, Ethan strolled past his house and slipped a tiny VYC behind a Plantera signal tracker disguised as a soil sensor. Linda had gutted his VY Cybel tech, but she couldn't touch the deeper systems he'd buried in the infrastructure. His redundancies were still humming, logging every move. By noon, he was ready to face the HOA. He walked into their clubhouse, where Linda held court with two jittery board members, and dropped a stack of papers on the table. His deed, the HOA bylaws, and permits for his tech. "You broke into my home," he said, voice steady. "That's criminal trespassing." Linda's smirk faltered. "We acted under emergency standards," she stammered. Ethan tapped his tablet, and the VY Deo of her directing the lock swap played. Her face twitched as she lunged to stop it. One board member went pale, Another muttered, "When was this?" "I haven't even started," Ethan said coolly. "This is just the pre-VYEW." Linda babbled about community safety, but her grip was slipping. Ethan left her to stew, knowing she'd unravel. That night, he watched a hidden camera feed from his car as Linda crept onto his porch, flashlight in hand, muttering into her phone. She was scrambling, but Ethan was already 10 steps ahead. He opened a file and listed her every misstep: trespassing, fraud, defamation. The game was on. The next day, Ethan dug deeper. He cross-checked the HOA's bylaws against Linda's violations and found laughable errors fire codes that didn't apply, surveillance rules that didn't exist. Then he hit gold, the HOA's voting logs. Every timestamp was identical, a dead giveaway of tampering. 2 email addresses used to vote for his lockout were fake, registered weeks earlier to a proxy tied to Linda's home IP. Ethan grinned. She hadn't just bent the releshed, forged digital records, a felony if proven. He backed up the EVY Denke, sent it to his lawyer, and called his old college pal, Zoe, a digital forensics whiz. Zoe cackled when she heard the story, promising a report on Linda's sloppy hacks and days. Ethan wasn't done. He set up a honeypot of fake Wi-Fi network named HOA Control to bait Linda's next move. Within hours, an outdated Android tablet connected, probing for passwords and uploading a shady script. The IP traced to the HOA clubhouse. Ethan watched in real time, heart pounding, as the tablet's user Linda's son, Connor, fell for every trap. When Connor downloaded a decoy file labeled HOA_codes.txt, Ethan's system pinged his location, the clubhouse, late at night. Ethan snapped photos through a long lens, catching Connor hunched over the tablet, papers with Ethan's name scattered around. They were building a cover-up, but Ethan was building a guillotine. An anonymous email sealed the deal, a screenshot of Linda's group chat, where she called Ethan a tech freak and vowed to cleanse the neighborhood. Ethan archived it, his file now a ticking bomb. He printed a flyer, "Do you know what your HOA is doing?" with a link to his EVY Denke, and pinned it to the community board. Within hours, residents downloaded it, including a shaky board member, Sarah, who texted Ethan, "I didn't vote for anything." She lied. The neighborhood was waking up. Linda took the bait again, logging into Ethan's fake system from her iPad. His scripts recorded her every click, even capturing her voice through an unmuted mic. This'll shut him up. Ethan's pulse raced. This was checkmate. Zoe's forensic report came in, exposing Linda's amateur domain scams and forged votes, all linked to her personal email VY, a coupon app blunder. Ethan compiled everything into a presentation, scheduling it to email every resident at 7 p.m. Friday, when they'd be glued to their inboxes. He added one line, "I was locked out, but now we all deserve the keys." Friday morning, Ethan walked into the clubhouse with his lawyer and a county housing rep. Linda's face collapsed as they handed her a complaint. "You're suspended," the rep said flatly. That night, the email hit, and the neighborhood erupted. Residents demanded elections, police reports, even Ethan's leadership. He stayed quiet, petting his cat, Luna, as the chaos unfolded. He didn't want power, just peace. By Saturday, Linda's reign was rubble. Neighbors swapped stories of her bullying, from fake fines to delayed permits. A code inspector, tipped off by Ethan's lawyer, cited the clubhouse for violations, finding fake HOA policies stamped with a forged logo. Linda hid in her house, blinds shut, as the board voted her out. Ethan filed a CIVYL suit, not for money, but to force discovery of Linda's DVYCS. Her deleted emails, Connor's fake surveillance gear bought with a forged government discount piled up. The judge, hearing Linda's recorded threats, greenlit the case and hinted at criminal charges. The neighborhood bloomed anew. Porch swings returned, flower pots dotted yards, and kids laughed louder. A new board, led by Mrs. Harper, a no-nonsense retiree, posted transparent minutes online. At a potluck, residents toasted Ethan, who shrugged off the praise. He upgraded his lock with voice and facial recognition, smiling as it pinged. "Welcome back, Ethan." His home was his again. Linda faded, her yard overgrown, her name mud. Audits and charges loomed, while Connor skipped town. Ethan's story spread, inspiring others to fight rogue HOAs. He declined board offers, content with his coffee in Luna. One evening, Mrs. Harper dropped off a letter signed by dozens, naming him an honorary advisor. He pinned it up, not for glory, but for the quiet truth. He'd turned Linda's lockout into her downfall, and the neighborhood was free. What do you think? Did Ethan go too far, or was his calculated takedown justified? Should he have exposed Linda publicly, or settled it quietly with the law? Could you outsmart a scheming HOA like Ethan did, or would you fall for their traps? Drop your thoughts below, hit that like button if you're Team Ethan, and subscribe for more stories where the underdog flips the script.